Rocksteady is reportedly hard at work on a new single-player Batman game, which let me begin by saying thank you, Gaming Jesus, for making this story possible. Man, I have been wanting a single-player Batman video game for so long, and I am beyond excited that this is happening. So anyway, in case you missed it, this story comes from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who dropped a brand new article that talked about Warner Brothers and how they're working on refocusing their efforts internally to double down on what works. And specifically, what works for Warner Brothers right now is basically Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and obviously DC. And specifically DC is like Batman, and we'll dive into that because apparently, on the DC front, they are going back to what we all have come to love. Batman, single-player Batman game. Specifically, Jason Schreier writing that Rocksteady is working on a single-player Batman video game that unfortunately is several years away. Now, because it is several years away, obviously, no other details than that, right? We don't know what there's going to be as far as villains. We don't know where the setting is going to be, or what the concept is. Is Batman alive in this one? Has he come back from the dead, or where on the timeline does this one land? But I gotta say, either way, dude, I'm all in. You give me another Batman Arkham game, I will buy it day one. I will play it. I will platinum the game. Please give me more Batman. And I think what's also interesting here is seeing they're not joking about doubling down, right? Jason Schreier wrote that Warner Brothers was pitched multiple DC properties. I wrote these down. John Constantine game. Warner Brother Games Montreal pitched them on this, and that got rejected. A Flash game was in the works, and that got shot down because of the movie. Obviously, kind of flopped. And Monolith is still working on Wonder Woman, which is the upcoming video game that's basically going to use the Nemesis system from Shadows of Mordor, where Wonder Woman can create allies with her enemies and use the lasso of truth. And I think it just sounds like such a sick project. But the other part of this article is hey, yes, this game's coming. Yes, it sounds cool, but its fate is still in question, right? Warner Brothers has not made up their mind on whether or not this is going to go through. And even Jason himself was hey, number one, this game is still several years away. Plus, it could be canceled. And it's already cost the studio $100 million. So at this point, we might be seeing the Wonder Woman game get scrapped, which I think would be a massive disservice. And I think that you could create such a really cool franchise that people would be interested in, right? You don't have to just make Batman games. I don't think people had a problem with an idea of a Suicide Squad game. I think it was the fact that it's a live service, right? We don't want a live service Suicide Squad game. Nobody's asking for that. We would love a narrative-driven Suicide Squad game. Even the Avengers, I would say. If the Avengers had a different concept of going forward and it was a story-driven single-player game where you could pick your characters and pick your heroes, I think it would still do well, but I don't think it would have had the kind of the mark of shame over it where people are oh, I don't want to play that game. I will say, as far as DC games go, and this is just me putting it out into the universe, so hopefully it might happen, a Green Arrow video game would be cool. I've always kind of dreamed about the idea of an Oliver Queen style Arkham video game where you get to play as the Green Arrow. It's an open world. You get through the city and you fight people. You archer. You shoot arrows and bows, and you basically go up to people and you're you have failed this city. I think it would be so incredible, and it could be done so well. And I would recommend Warner Brothers, if you're watching, please and thank you, Green Arrow video game for Christmas. I would love it. But I always thought that would be kind of a fun game. But anyway, as far as DC content goes, it does truly sound like it's going to be Wonder Woman, Batman. Those are the two focuses on the DC side. And I also think it's interesting that they're restructuring and refocusing here, and not just giving up completely. Because last I read, there was a report out there that said Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. It failed in the eyes of the company, right? It cost the company, I think it was a $200 million loss or something like that for Warner Brother Games. So obviously they're yo, don't ever do that again. Let's not make that game. Let's go back to the games that work. And they're putting that team and making them focus onto Batman. But the other side of this too is maybe what's making this not as big of an issue is while Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League did kind of struggle, Hogwarts Legacy absolutely dominated. It was the best-selling game of the year, and I'm sure that there are people inside of Warner Brothers who are how do we replicate that? How do we take that Hogwarts Legacy format and put it on Batman? How do we put it on Wonder Woman? How do we create something that's fun and unique and people want to play it and it sells like hotcakes? But yeah, I don't know. This story, when I saw the title, it definitely made me smile. You know, the idea of a single player Batman video game just makes me very, very happy. It's the game that I've wanted. I obviously don't have time to play multiplayer games with all my friends or to be catching up with everybody. I just, where I'm at in life, single player is kind of where my niche is. And the idea that we're getting more single player Batman games that hopefully are like Arkham, yeah, I'm all in. Absolutely love that idea. Now, unfortunately, no release date, so we got a lot of time to wait until the next Batman game.